everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. I'm Mike.
And this is Matthew.
So it has come to light, and we talked about this in a news thing at one point, where Matt Reeves is working on shopping around some HBOMax series dealing with other villains in the world of the Batman movies. And we're like, you know what? Let's pitch one of our own that he's not already tapping into, because I think he's looking at doing Clayface, Scarecrow, and Professor Pig. I think were the three he said he was looking
Yes.
at.
I was going to say Pighead, but no, that's the bad guy from Sunman.
Which don't get me wrong, I love me some Clayface, and I'm actually a little bummed out that he's doing Clayface, because I had a great idea for a Clayface one, but he's already doing it. So we're trying to do ones that he's not doing. Professor Pig's an odd one.
I mean, it kind of, given his story, it goes along with the zaniness of the Batman movie. So I don't see why not.
Yeah, and I think just it's because of the name. I think people are a little put off by that, but it's like, but if you really look into who Professor Pig is, that really actually does kind of fit pretty well with Robert Pattinson's Batman.
Yeah, definitely.
So we thought it would be fun to see, just kind of pitch our own thing, see what we come up with here. I was struggling with mine until yesterday, when suddenly some inspiration hit me, and I'm actually very proud of this now. How you feeling about yours?
I feel okay about mine. I think mine's like we've talked about it before. Is like when I kind of say like, hey, let's do this. Like, I don't know if it's because of Fanboy Junction. I don't know if it's because of, I'm a writer, but like some of the stuff just flies out of my head. So like I literally typed it to you and you said, that's cool. And then I was like, what would I do? I want to do a fringe character. And it was like, boom, boom, boom. And the hardest part was not picking my star, because it was one of those where my friend Blaine from Fanboy Junction, when we would do it, he would always say like it's too easy to pick the apparent choice for a role.
Yeah.
Look deeper. And it was like, no matter what I did, I was like, no, this is who this should be.
Yeah,
So
it's very hard to not go with the obvious choice.
yeah. And like sometimes it's more obvious, or sometimes it's like to me, Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange is the choice everybody would do. And that to me is why you shouldn't pick him. I think he's done a great job as Doctor Strange, but I feel like there could have been so many other actors that could have done something a little bit different with it. But, at the same time, he's still done great. It's not like I'm going like, oh, that was a horrible decision. But it's stuff like that. Like Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man is probably the last person anybody wanted to play Iron Man. But look what he did.
Oh yeah, he couldn't get insured.
Yeah.
That, like, John Favreau had to kiss some serious ass to make that happen. And yeah, Benedict Cumberbatch, he wasn't even the first choice. He was like the second or third choice, but I think he's crushing it. So yeah, on one hand, it's like this person was kind of born to play, like Willem Dafoe. People always talk about Willem Dafoe playing the Joker. It's like, yeah, it's kind of an obvious choice though. Like, get
Yeah.
someone who can do something a little interesting, a little different with it. And I did it. I cast two roles for mine. Um, we'll see what everybody thinks, because I think one of them is fairly obvious, and I think one of them is not. But we'll see. Matt, I'm gonna let you go first.
Okay. So my thing was, it was too easy to pick like Batgirl or Robin or any of the characters we already seen. So what I wanted to do is kind of flesh the world out and do something completely different. So I'm doing a Huntress HBO Max show.
Okay, so you're not even doing a villain. You're doing one of the Bat family.
Well, I think we talked about it on the phone the other day. Is like depending on what version of
That's
Huntress
true.
and what reboot of the DC comics is like she's kind of like her own thing. Sometimes she works for the Bat family. Sometimes she does her own thing. Sometimes she might work with somebody who's going against Batman, like in Nightwing when she's working with this corrupt cop. And so now she's literally going head to head with Batgirl and Nightwing. So stuff like that, where I think that would be a little more fun with this, because ultimately, whenever she runs into Batman, doesn't mean they're going to high five and be like, cool, let's work together. So I think that would make an interesting dynamic, even though in my story, Batman doesn't necessarily appear.
Okay.
So do you want my story, or do you want to go back and forth? with these things
Uh,
for.
give me go ahead. Do your whole thing.
So my thing is this is a she is Richard Dragon is a character that's been in and out of the DCU, or the DC comics, and he's kind of like the martial arts BA who has trained a lot of people. And one of the people he's trained is he was part of the Huntress's training. I would keep her origin where, like, she's kind of got her dad was in the mafia killed him. So she's kind of on a revenge trip against mafia people. And that's why she becomes a huntress. But I also didn't want to do that as her main thing. So there's another character who is called quote unquote Richard Dragon, who is called Danny Diaz. And he actually kills Richard Dragon and takes over his mantle. So I want this story to be about Huntress chasing after Danny Diaz. And through these different things she's doing, she's like one step behind him. And their ultimate confrontation is in Gotham.
Okay. All right.
So, and get into like, is Danny Diaz going after Batman because he wants to defeat Batman to prove how cool he is? Is she going to help him? Is she not going to help him? So that's kind of, so it's most of the show is a got to catch him, but you'll get the flashbacks of her training under Richard Dragon. Maybe her and Danny trained at the same time. So you've got kind of like this relationship with them. And that's kind of my show. Like it's like a nice 4 to 6 parter, 6 episodes, nothing real long, and just ultimately it ends with Huntress is now in Gotham, and we have no idea what she's going to do when she meets Batman.
Okay. All right.
Too much, too little, too weird.
No, no. Look, Huntress is one of those characters that like I don't think enough has been done with, and I think it's real easy to fall into a um cliche with her because
Yes.
like we saw them try to do something with her in that god awful Birds of Prey series in the early 2000s. I mean, it is unwatchable, that show.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
pretty terrible. She appears in Justice League Unlimited in a little bit. She's got a thing with Question,
And it's
kind of worked for
fantastic.
her. Actually, it's very good. The run of Nightwing Huntress crossover comics was, I thought, spectacular. Um, she also appears in a couple episodes of Arrow where I thought they were doing a good job with her until they wrote her off the show. And I was like, well, that was a waste. So yeah, the idea of seeing, yeah, just another interpretation of her story when you consider the world that we've built already with Matt Reeves the Batman. I think what you're pitching works very well within the confines of that world.
Yeah, and I think like sometimes Huntress is one of those characters that to me is kind of like Nightwing. The less she has to do with Batman and the more she does her own thing, the cooler she gets. And it's okay that she might interact with him or butt heads with him, but ultimately we just want to see her do her own thing. So that's where, like I said, I don't want it to be because you're right. Like sometimes she just seems to be like another Batgirl in the Bat family, and it's like, no, that's not what this character is. So that, so yeah, that's why I picked her.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Because when you start mixing her in with Batman directly, it's easy to make her an adversary because she breaks the rule. Um,
Yeah.
and it's just easy to just write her off as just because I did not like what they did with her in the Birds of Prey movie. I didn't mention that earlier. I was not like, to me, Mary Elizabeth Winstead is brilliant casting that was grossly misused in that movie.
Correct.
To me, correct to me. I it's if you like, I know a lot of people like that movie, and that's great. I don't mind the movie. I just didn't like that they used Huntress the way they did. But it's easy to me, the way they used Huntress in that movie is just kind of the very easy, predictable paint by numbers way you would use that character. To me, it's like you read the cliff notes of who this character is and just made that. So with what you're doing, it's, yeah, we get to actually explore who this character is and spend some time with her and learn more about her and how she actually works. I think it's a really good idea.
Thank you. And I mind that movie very much. That movie's crap.
There's parts of it I really like, and there's parts of it that I think no human being should ever have to watch. Um, the
Yeah.
best parts are all with Margot Robbie.
I'm the flip. I like Journey Smollett as
She's
Black
good.
Canary.
She's good. She's good. I like her too. Yeah.
So, and that's about, and Ewan McGregor's awesome no matter what. So there we go.
What a waste of Ewan McGregor. Anyway,
I know.
so
Would he have
we'll
made a
hold
good
off.
Lex Luthor? No.
No, he would have made a fantastic Black Adam if they'd let him be Black Adam, or not Black Adam, Black Mask. He would have made a
Yeah,
great Black Mask if they let him be Black Mask, but they didn't let him be Black Mask. They made him a Joker Riddler hybrid.
that's very true.
So anyway, so before we get to your cast, we'll do our casting last.
Yeah, do
I'm
your
gonna.
show. What's your show? I'm
So I
really
stuck with the
wondering.
villain route,
Okay.
and I took it in a slightly different direction since we don't know what's going on with Matt Reeves yet with the next Batman movie. So I said, let's hop into the past a little bit and let's tell a period piece about Solomon Grundy.
Yes, perfect.
And we're going to set it in the 1800s. We're going to have Cyrus Gold as a wealthy merchant. Because here's the thing with Solomon Grundy. We've seen him live action on TV. Has not always been great, if we're being completely honest here. He's in Smallville in one episode, I think. And it was kind of just forgettable. Cyrus Gold as a character appears in Arrow as a guy who's kind of been in the story arc explains why he's like super strong and all that. And it seemed like they were going somewhere with it, but they never did. So it kind of bums you out. He's in Gotham. I think Gotham is a god awful show that should be ashamed of itself for even existing. Um, and the way they did Solomon Grundy in that is just not good. And then I have not seen Stargirl. I've heard he's in that, and I have not seen Doom Patrol, and I've heard that he's in that.
Okay.
But yeah. So anyway, but we've never seen him done in the movies at all. It's been an animated series, but never been done live action, never been done in a movie. So set in the 1800s, we got Cyrus Gold. He's a wealthy merchant, kind of mobster-esque, just kind of he runs all the shipping and the transporting of supplies, kind of post-Civil War is what I'm setting this. And he's just looking for money. He's just looking for money and looking to just run all the money that's going on. So one day, one of his peons discovers there's a cave over where the Slaughter Swamp is, which the Slaughter Swamp is from the comics. It's where, spoiler alert, Solomon Grundy gets dumped and turned into Solomon Grundy. Um, but in this cave near this cave that's kind of underneath where the swamp is, they find gold. It's like, oh God. So we're gonna get the gold. It's gonna be ours. I'm gonna run this town. Well, his right-hand man and some of his rivals betray him and murder him and dump his body in the slaughter swamp. And he's reborn as Grundy. And that's in the first episode.
Yeah. No, I like
um,
it.
I didn't write out the whole plot, but what I wanted this series to then be is like Frankenstein's monster, but set in the world of 1800s DC Comics. So have him stumbling around. He doesn't really remember his previous life. He just remembers basically hating people and that somebody did him wrong, but like he's learning how to talk again. Maybe befriends a little girl like Frankenstein does, Frankenstein's monster does. But he's going around trying to get revenge, basically. Because we could even have it be where like he revives from the swamp like years later or something like that. Because he's kind of like partially decomposed and all that. So he's going around getting revenge because, all these guys took that gold and took his company and his business and have led great lives. So it's him going around getting revenge. At one point, one of these guys catches wind of what's happening and says, hey, I need to hire somebody to go take this dude out. So they hire a bounty hunter by the name of Jonah Hex.
There we go. I was wondering about the era. That makes more sense. I
Yeah.
like it.
I
You got me now. You got
It's
me.
one of those because they both technically because Solomon Grundy is killed in the 1800s. Cyrus Gold was killed in the 1800s when he dumped in the swamp. That's when Jonah Hex was around, but they've never crossed over like that. Why the hell not? So yeah, we could have Jonah Hex have an episode that's just about Jonah Hex, um, trying to take out Cyrus Gold, trying to take out Solomon Grundy, and we can end the series with him getting buried in a cave in that same cave underneath the swamp. It all caves in underneath him, and everyone thinks, okay, he's dead, he's never coming back, or we have someone who keeps a watch every night to make sure he never, and to warn the town if he ever does come back to life. And it ends up just kind of becoming forgotten and becomes kind of just lore, because you got to remember is that the Slaughter Swamp is outside of 1800s Gotham City.
Yeah.
It's located just outside Gotham City. And what's cool about this is I figure in the final episode, we have a post-credit scene that ties into the Batman. Because you remember in the beginning of the movie when Battinson's monologuing and he's talking about how I am the shadows and everyone's afraid of him. And we see the guy spray painting like a bank or something like that. It's an
Yeah.
abandoned bank. And his spray paint can rolls into the doorway and it's all dark and he can't see anything. So he runs away. Well, now we see that scene from the angle of inside the building, and the spray paint can rolls into the building and it bumps against the foot of Solomon Grundy, who's awake and hiding in there and looking out at the rain and watching everybody go by on Halloween.
Nice. Nice. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
in. I'm in. All right. I'm going to cheat now and I'm going to say who you casting because I'm being lazy.
Okay. You want to know who I'm casting?
Yeah. Yeah. Who you casting? Who
Oh,
you casting as
okay.
Solomon Grundy? Now you got me really curious
Who did
on
I
this one.
cast? Oh, first I'm going to tell you who I cast as Willem Dafoe. Or as okay, well, shit. First, I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you who I cast as Jonah Hex, and that's Willem Dafoe.
I thought we were doing being John Malkovich here. We cast Willem Dafoe as John Malkovich.
Yeah, no, I cast
Dude, Willem
Willem
Dafoe
Dafoe to
as
be
Jonah
Jonah Hex.
Hex.
Yeah,
Just yes. So
yeah.
much yes. That's great.
Because
I
I
like that a
just
lot. That is awesome.
yeah, I love Willem Dafoe. I love him in everything he
Oh,
does.
did I
I even
lose
liked
you?
him in Aquaman. So, but who I got to play Solomon Grundy is probably a bit of a safe choice. But I think
Okay.
he's a much better actor than he's been given credit for. And I want to see what else he can do. And that is Dave Batista.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's
'Cause he-
it's a little similar to Drax. It's a little similar to Drax, but I really like him. And he's got 10 minutes of screen time in Blade Runner 2049 that he does amazing work with. I really like him in Hotel Artemis. I cannot wait to see him in Glass Onion. I think Dave Batista is a very good actor. And I think playing him as Cyrus Gold and as Solomon Grundy is a great way to stretch him out a bit, because especially as Grundy, he's not doing as much talking. Like with Drax, he gets to crack a lot of jokes and have a lot of dialogue and be goofy. He's not going to have that as Solomon Grundy.
yeah.
So I want to see him flex those nonverbal acting chops a little bit more.
No, you're right. He was great in Blade Runner, and then like hearing him on some of the podcasts I've heard him on, and the fact that he's actually trying to hone his acting craft is something more than most of those wrestlers turning actors do. They just seem to kind of niche into action films and don't give a crap. And as much as I like Dave Batista, he's nowhere near as charismatic as The Rock. So he's got to do something different. And I think what he's doing is perfect.
Yeah, he's even said many times himself, he's like, he knows he's got a long ways to go. And I love John Cena as Peacemaker. I love John Cena as the dad in Blockers. Outside of that, John Cena hasn't exactly like impressed me as an actor. It took him a long time. He kind of just kept going for roles that he felt like should have been his, until he found one that was so off base for him but it worked for him. And The Rock had to do a lot of that too, was finding the right roles to really let him learn, as opposed to just going and just being a tough guy in every movie. And Batista has been smart about that since day one. He talks about how James Gunn took a big risk with him
Yeah.
for Drax, and how he knows where he comes from. He knows that he's got an uphill battle being a wrestler, and he's putting in the work. and I appreciate that about him, and I want to see him do more. And I think this is, again, it's kind of a safe choice, but I think there's a lot of room for him to grow and develop as an actor in a role like this.
Yeah, I don't know if you've seen that movie My Spy, but he's fantastic in it.
I have not, no.
And then there was Struber. He was really good in Struber, but that was more of an action fair than anything else. But he's really good in that as well.
Yeah,
So I'm a fan. I'll watch it. I'm like you. I'll check out Glass Onion. Is that what it's called?
yeah,
Glass
hell yeah,
Onions.
that's
Yeah.
good.
Cool. Cool.
All right, man. Who you got cast in yours?
Okay, so I did a couple different things weird. Number one, I did what they recently. So Richard Dragon usually is a white guy with red hair, and his name's actually Richard Dradanowski or some crap like that. But recently, I think in the last 2 years, they did what was it like Bad of the Dragon or Shadow of the Dragon or something like that, and it was one of
Something
the
like that. Yeah.
animated DVDs, and they made Richard Dragon Asian, and Mark Dacascos voiced him. So I was like, you know what? Let's go with that. So I cast Richard Dragon as Colin Cho. Colin Cho played Seraph in the Matrix films. He's the villain in the Donnie Yen movie Flashpoint. He's been in a ton of other things. He was in Forbidden Kingdom. He was the evil king.
Oh,
Um,
that guy. I'm pulling him up right now. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
he was randomly Hayabusa in the Dead or Alive movie.
Yeah, that happened.
Hey, I had a good time with that film. But yeah, he's actually a really good actor. You know, part of me wants to go to the Donnie Yen of it all, but the like Donnie Yen, I don't think
Easy.
as much as he's cool as Ip Man, I'm not the mentor thing. I'm not there with him yet. You know what I mean? So, but I think Colin Cho would be perfect. I really like him as Seraph was one of those because I know Jet Li was originally supposed to be Seraph. So the fact that they pulled Colin Cho instead, I was like, no, dude, this guy's good. I like him in
Oh,
this.
from the Matrix.
Yes.
Yes, that's what his name was. Shit. Okay. Just
So
trying to think of
yeah,
what his name was.
yeah, Seraph. So yeah, that is that's my pick for Richard Dragon. He would probably be like in 5 or 10 minutes of every episode, more of like the
Mm.
mentor teaching, but he's also a really badass martial artist, which would help. Danny Diaz, the kind of villain of the movie or the show. This is where I did like a this is what you might call a Matthew special or a Dolph Lundgren special. Is I used Wilmer Valderrama, and he's
Why do you got to do this every episode?
I know. This
Every
is
episode we're casting something. Don't get me
well,
wrong. I love Wilmer Valderrama, and he's actually been very good on NCIS. So I'm listening.
yeah. So to him to be this weird villain who has just got crap to prove and becomes a murderer, and to suddenly for some reason he decides he's going to go to Gotham and take on this Batman, I think would just be cool. And as much as I've enjoyed him in things, I've heard him on some podcasts, he's kind of a douchebag. So I think it would work for the character.
A little bit.
Yeah. So, but I also think like, dude, the guy's in shape. He's got a good look, and he's about the age I would want him to be. You know, he's kind of got that late 30s, early 40s look that would work for this. And he seems to be able to do action. He can dance. Like, I think it'd be cool.
It's interesting because I'm just now remembering that they actually brought in Richard Dragon in season 6 and 7 of Arrow. And he was played by oh, what's his name? Who was on Law and Order? Kirk Acevedo. Um, it was
Okay.
actually pretty good.
Okay. Okay.
It was season 6 and 7. It's like the show was starting to find its footing again, but it was too little, too late. But and Kirk Acevedo is one of those actors who I wish would get more work, because I think he's very good. But they did a really good job with him in that, and I'm throwing that in as I'm thinking about that. Yeah, I really want to see that character done more. Yeah, I think that's a great pick, actually.
Yeah, it would be interesting. And I personally get into this like who does train these people. Batman doesn't become Batman by going to the corner taekwondo place. you
No,
know,
you get straight by Liam Neeson.
yeah, exactly. Who 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 I still to this day kick myself in the butt for the fact that I didn't realize he was Ra's al Ghul.
Oh,
because
really?
I was so excited that somebody did went that deep and pulled Ducard, because Ducard is in pre-crisis Batman Origins,
Oh, right.
and
Yeah.
and he is a detective, and that's where Batman learns how to be a detective, is from this guy, like this French guy. So the fact that they pulled him in, I was like, that is so awesome. They went that deep, and then when he reveals he's Ra's al Ghul, I'm like, son of a, like,
It's good.
oh,
Yeah.
like, totally, I got fanboyed into not realize, and then like every time I watch it since then, I'm like, it's so freaking obvious he's Ra's al Ghul. How the hell did I not see that?
You know what
Um,
the biggest giveaway is?
the
That he
facial
looks like
hair,
him. Is that he looks like him.
yeah, the facial hair. He has this freaking facial hair, you know.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think Ken Watanabe was also. I was like, if he was actually Ra's al Ghul, that's also a very good pick.
Well, and I can remember when they announced him, I was like, I don't remember Ra's al Ghul being Asian. I don't know if he was white, but I
Well,
don't remember him being Asian.
that's kind of what's cool is there's been so many live action versions of Ra's al Ghul since Batman Begins. Like when you really sit back and think about it, we've seen him a lot in a lot of live action stuff in the last few years. Um, and it's always a different because we had Liam Neeson who was white English, and then we had the guy on Arrow who was I think Greek, and then you had Alexander Siddig from Star Trek: Deep Space Nine, who plays him in uh, Gotham, and then he's been everywhere, and I'm like they just are just like really diving into the Ra's al Ghul pool for some reason.
Nice, nice. Yeah, dude, that guy was so good in Kingdom to Heaven. I'm sorry, I know it's
It was
just
great.
nowhere near like one of those times. Like, is that the dude from Star Trek? Man, he's great in this movie.
He's so good.
If
He's so
you, and to continue tangent, if you have not seen the director's cut of Kingdom of Heaven, find it and watch it.
good.
I love the movie anyway, but just makes it excellent. Anyway, all right. So this is where like the no, like duh of course of it is Huntress's Ana de Armas.
I love you so much.
I know, I know. I
I
knew
love
you'd
you
be into
so
that.
much.
I know
I
you'd
do.
be into that.
You put her in everything, please. Except I will say this: I watched Blonde. Nobody should watch Blonde.
I after you said that, and I've heard from other people, I'm not going to watch it.
Nobody should. That movie is unsettling. But Ana de Armas is a diamond encrusted angel of hope, love, and joy, and should be in every movie. So, yes, yes, please.
I mean, she has the acting chops. I haven't seen the Bond movie she was in, but
Oh,
from all,
really?
I'm not a fan of Craig's Bond.
Oh, it's a good movie. It's very different. It's
We'll
a
see.
very different Bond movie. It's very good. But if you haven't seen or liked any of his others, you're not going to get anything that's going on in it. So,
Yeah, I don't. The last one I saw is when they inexplicably blew up his house or something, and then like him and Judy Dench are in this big house. I don't know. It's just like, what is happening in the like?
oh,
I can't
Skyfall's
stand
like
it.
the best one. Anyway, moving on. Ana de Armas is Huntress, everybody.
Yeah, and that was the one where I was like, who else? And I
Yeah.
for a minute, I was going to cast it very young and use Billy Bobby Brown. No, Millie Bobby Brown.
Billy Bobby Brown. Okay.
Millie Bobby Brown. But the more I kept looking at it, the more I was like, she's great as Enola Holmes, but she's not Huntress.
I think she's too young.
Yeah, she's too young. And then I
Too
kept
young.
like, then it was like, well, what's the age? And there's a couple other people that came to mind, and I was like, no, I think like I kept, like I said, if I'm trying to not cast Anna de Almas, I might as well just cast her because she's perfect.
Yeah. Because at that point, it's like either you cast an unknown or you cast somebody that's just wildly out of left field, you
Yeah,
know? So, yeah. No, no. I mean, everyone on Earth knows that my love for Ana de Armas is powerful and strong and could fight entire armies. So, 100%. And she's such a good actress. She's
yeah,
so talented. It's ridiculous.
yeah, and she's beautiful. And I think like something about Huntress in the comics, some of the stuff I read is like look, Nightwing's supposed to be the best looking dude ever. He doesn't get pulled by every single chick that comes his way. So the fact that he kind of gets it on with with Huntress, even though she's the antithesis of everything his mentor has laid down in front of him. You got to have a good looking woman to do that. So,
Well, Huntress is very much similar to Nightwing in that both of them have the superpower of being really, really, really ridiculously good looking.
yeah.
It's a fact. I mean, it is a fact that everyone knows Nightwing has the greatest ass in the DC universe. It's an established fact. It's a comic book fact. It's just a thing that we all know and accept as being true. We all know that Dick Grayson is so handsome he could disarm an entire army, and Huntress is equally that on the female side. She uses that to her advantage in the comics a lot. That she's that attractive. It's part of how she goes undercover and stuff. So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's my cast. That's my show. I think it'd be cool, and it'd be something different than just
Yeah,
doing, like I said, a sidekick. And like I said, the big thing for me is just because she shows up at Gotham and maybe defeats Danny Diaz, probably kills him, doesn't mean she's going to be like, "Hey, cool, Batman, I'm here to help you." You know?
probably kills him. She fucking kills him.
Yeah.
She puts an arrow through his eye. Come on.
Correct, correct. But yeah, so I think it'd be interesting to have, that kind of thing. Anyway, that's my show, man, and
Yeah,
your Solomon Grundy show with Dave Bautista, I think sounds interesting. And then when the two characters cross over, and it's Grundy Huntress unite, you know,
along with along with Clayface and Scarecrow and Professor Pig, and then boom, you got the Injustice League there, people.
yeah,
Man, I tell you, we're starting to get to a point where we're going to start hearing more stuff coming out about the
hmm
Batman and everything else with this. So I can't wait to see how more of these things develop. And then we can sit there and say, hey, if they're looking to do that, we've got an idea for you guys. I got a Grundy idea back here that would work really well with this. We got a Huntress idea because Huntress is a character I can totally see playing in the Matt Reeves Batman universe 1,000%, especially if we're going to keep playing with mobsters and stuff like that. 100%. Absolutely.
yeah, definitely, definitely.
So hey, let us know what you guys think. Is there a character that maybe you'd like to see get an HBO Max series to play in the world of Matt Reeves the Batman? Do you like what we got? How much do you love that I cast Willem Dafoe as Jonah Hex? How much do you love that that Matt cast Ana de Armas as the Huntress? You can't possibly love it as much as I do. Nobody loves it as much as I do. I love it so much. I'll forgive him for all his other casting, almost all of them. Um, just one. Dolph Lundgren is Bruce Wayne that I'm never going to let him forget about. But let us know what you guys think on Twitter. You can find us on Twitter at We Are the Batman. Find me on Twitter at Mr. Mike Shea.
You find me on Twitter at Mr. J Ninja, and if you want to have some fun, look up Dolph Lundgren with black hair, and it's there, man. He's freaking Bruce Wayne. I'm just saying. And now
Yeah.
he's walking with a cane. I'm just saying.
Okay. Anyway, so that being said, let us know what you guys think. We've got a Google form pinned on our Twitter feed where you guys can send in all kinds of questions, episode ideas, general feedback. And then, Matt, where can they find us on Facebook?
www.facebook.com/group/fanboy junction with a K.
Hit us up in all these places. We'd love to hear from you guys, and we'll talk to you again next time here on We Are the Batman. Same bat time, same bat podcast channel.
Take care.